Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today I have decided to rip off the summer band-aid and go ahead and tackle this small deck foundation bed that is planted with summer crops, including peanuts and sweet potatoes. The reason I'm doing this is because the farmers around me have been harvesting both in the fields this week, and I know that it's directly related to this warm, dry, super sunny weather that we're experiencing, and it's really the ideal time to get both sweet potatoes and peanuts out of the ground, because as the days continue to get cooler and shorter, we get a lot wetter here in North Carolina, and then it's much more difficult to actually get these root crops to dry out properly. So this bed has been planted since around the 10th of June, and it definitely doesn't look as good as it could. So I think that I'm gonna seize the moment. I always have a really hard time deconstructing summer. A lot of times I like to wait until we have frost, but in the case of peanuts and sweet potatoes, it's better to get them pulled out early. So I'm not gonna take out all of my sweet potatoes today, but I am going to do this little patch. This is one of the varieties of Treasure Island. There's only like 3 plants in here, so I don't expect a very big harvest. And then of course I have an edge of peanuts planted. And I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some of the seed from these zinnias and basically just get this bed completely cleaned out so that I can go plant shopping and get it replanted for the cool season. So stay tuned for my progress. Now, as I explained in my peanut harvesting video, basically peanuts just grow as a sort of low ground cover, and they set these pegs that the nuts or the fruit actually form off of. So when you're harvesting, the way I do it is really simple. I just come through by hand and I just pull them out, and then I'm gonna put them on a tarp in the sun so they can begin to dry out. Now I'm gonna come back through with a fork and a rake, and then I can find any additional peanuts that I may have missed from this initial pull out cycle. You can see how the nuts just form. Well, I was a bit underwhelmed with the sweet potato harvest, which really just amounted to a handful of small slips. I'm hoping that in some of my other beds where I have much greater coverage, that I have better tuber production. But now the steps I'll take is just to rake out this bed, get everything nice and even. I have some garlic that I planted last fall that I missed in the spring that's starting to grow. I'll go ahead and divide those and then fill in any gaps that I have along the edge with garlic, and then I'll go plant shopping and get this planted for the cool season. All right, I've decided that I am gonna go ahead and get this bed planted. I have not taken the sweet potatoes out of this other bed, and I was kind of debating on whether or not I should remove those, and just decided I'm gonna wait and probably do it next week. We are also setting up for tonight's Oktoberfest. There's David.
Hey everybody.
Hanging up lights to go over the backyard, and Oktoberfest is something that we hope we'll be able to do in a big way next year, kind of in place of the tomato tasting, and do it at the proper time in late September. So this is like our practice, and I can't wait to take pictures tonight because we actually have several people that one is from Austria, the other has lived a long time in Switzerland, and they're both going to wear their Oktoberfest outfits. So it's really going to be a properly themed party. So anyhow, I am going to get busy getting this bed planted so that it'll look good for tonight, and kind of match the feed tank bed that I did yesterday. And in this, I'm gonna do an edge of the Ms. America hybrid mustard. And then I'm gonna plant some kohlrabi that I seeded. I have some purple violas. And then in the background, I'm gonna do a giant mass of seeded barley. I direct seeded barley already in the back kind of triangle of this bed, but I have some room in front of that before I get to where I planted the kohlrabi. So I've decided that I'm gonna go ahead and sow a mix of larkspur, cilantro, and carrots. And basically I'm just going to scatter this seed lightly and then rake over it. I'm gonna water the bed, and then my final step will be to plant the garlic edge, which acts as the barrier for so many of the different animals, especially voles, rabbits, and deer. For this seeding process, I'm just gonna lightly rake over. I've already fertilized this bed. I top dressed the entire bed with garden tone. That way I don't have to add fertilizer after the fact. Everything will be equally fertilized. And I don't need very much. This is the larkspur seeds. You can see they're small and black. And that's about all I'll need. And I'm just gonna lightly toss those in. Next up is cilantro. Looks like this is of course coriander at this stage. And I'm gonna, just toss these in, stems and all. And I don't care if they mix a bit with the barley. That'll just give it a more authentic look. And then finally the carrots. And I remember I'm growing the carrots primarily to allow them to flower. You see, this is the carrot seed. And again, just gently tossing them through. Now I'm just gonna do a light rake. I'm using the back of the rake to make sure that all that seed has good contact with the soil. That'll ensure that it germinates, develops a good root system. And I don't have any mulch right now, but ideally I would get the rest of this bed mulched. I'll do to try and get that by early next week before any of this seed actually germinates. The barley seed actually will probably germinate within 2 or 3 days. So if I don't get it mulched, it won't really matter that much in the long haul, because all of these plants will do their job and cover the ground plane and help reduce weeds. As always, the final step is to plant an edge of garlic. At this time of year, this is really your best line of defense against animals through the entire winter season. You can see these are whole bulbs, which I grew last year, harvested these in June, and now they're just ready to be separated into individual cloves, thumbed in along the edge, and then the bed is completed. Now I'm gonna get this all watered in, then I'm gonna spray with I Must Garden deer and rabbit repellent to prevent any creatures from getting in the next couple of days, causing damage to the plants that I just put in. I hope you'll be inspired to plant for the fall season so that you can have beautiful landscaping all winter long, especially if you live in warmer climates like here in Central North Carolina, Zone 7. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and share it with some of your friends. And I look forward to giving you regular updates from this bed each week in my weekly garden tour segments. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.